In this brief video, I'm going to talk through why I'm not setting any New Year's resolutions or goals this year. Instead, I'm going to take a look at the past year, reflect on what I did over the last year, and make some different intentions and tweaks for how I want this next year, 2022, to be a bit better. I have nothing against setting goals, and it's definitely been something I've done a lot in the past, but I think I've changed my mind a little bit about how important New Year's goals and resolutions actually are. You see, over time, I've been the type of person that sets goals throughout the entire year. Whenever I get to the end of a year, or the beginning, it's more of just a continuation of time, and I already have a set of goals or intentions that have been set from months previous. What I do think about the beginning and the end of a year is that it's an amazing time to reflect, to look back at the year you had before, to see what you were happy about, how healthy you were, and if there's anything that you want to change. I'm going to talk through a few of the ways that I'm looking back at this year, what I'm looking at, how I'm tracking my progress, how I'm breaking down my review into a few different categories, and then how I'm going to take those learnings and make this next year even better. You might notice that I'm recording in a new space, which is my new home office, and there will be a future video to come on that. So subscribe and like if you want to see that, but thank you for watching. So for this 2021 year review, I'm going to break down my review into 3 main parts. Those main parts and categories being health, wealth, and happiness. So the first category we're going to take a look at and review on is health. Health is one of the most important things that you can reflect on. So I'm going to make sure that health is priority number 1. And whenever I'm looking at my health over the last year, it's really going to be mostly an internal reflection. It's going to be kind of anecdotal. I'm going to look back at how healthy I was across a handful of different categories, but where I have some data and some numbers or metrics, I'll make sure to include those as well. But most of the categories I'm going to be looking into are my sleep, my energy levels, my diet, exercise, my habits, both good and bad, my physique, and my mental health. Now, mental health is so important, it's going to be on the happiness category as well, but I'm going to look at it in relates to health as well. All of these points of reflection about health are going to inform the big question that is in all of these categories, and that is what changes should be made. If I go through this and I can see what things I liked, what things I didn't like, that will be able to let me know if I should make any changes going into this coming year. The next category we're going to look at is wealth. Now, everyone's going to have a little bit of a different opinion in regards to how important wealth is in their life. And when I say wealth, I just mean finances and money, being financially stable and aware. For some people, this isn't going to be important to them at all, but for me, it's something that I like to monitor, to track of, be aware of, and make sure I'm working towards my financial goals. So in the wealth category, there's going to be a little bit of internal reflections, but really this is all going to be data-driven. The great thing about finances and wealth is you can track literally every single dollar you make, spend, and set really tangible, real goals that you can reach. And I'm going to be answering a few key questions for this year review. 1, how much am I making? Theoretically speaking, I should be making more this year than I did last year. At least for me to make my financial goals true, I should be growing in income. 2, how much am I spending? Am I spending all of the dollars that I'm making? Am I spending too much? How much am I spending and what am I spending that money on? 3, and this is really the big one, am I progressing towards my financial goals? Is the balance between what I'm making and what I'm spending getting me towards the goals of financial freedom and accessibility that I want to have in the future? 4, really just a deep dive on spending. Where am I spending? Where am I overspending? Am I even overspending? Could I spend more? Where am I losing money? All those things that are really important. And the last one is, how are my investments? Can I afford to invest more? Are the investments that I've made working? Should I reconsider how I'm investing and take a look at those and adjust things accordingly? Last but certainly not least, I'm looking at my happiness over the last year. Once again, this is going to be more of an internal reflection, and really there's almost no data behind it. There's going to be journaling and meditating and thinking on these questions involved, but I have also learned a trick from Tim Ferriss where what I'll do is go through my calendar over the last year and make 2 columns. One column, all of the things on my calendar that made me happy, and a second column, all the things on my calendar I didn't want to do or didn't make me happy. So that way I can see what are all the things I want to do more of and the things I want to do less of. Really, the big question we're answering here is, am I happy? Am I fulfilled? Am I loving my life, or is there things I need to change? Now, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to go into this, but a few really important parts of life are going to be relationships. And I'll examine my relationship with my friends, my family, and of course, my girlfriend Emily, and make sure that I am happy with all of these relationships. And if there's anything I need to improve on, I'll be able to make sure that I can start to work on improving those relationships so I can be a bit happier this next year. We're also going to be looking at my work. I think it's important that work is a happy part of your life. It is sometimes a necessary evil, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. So I want to make sure that my work is keeping me happy and fulfilled. And if I want to change the types of work, this is where I'm going to really do a deep dive and uncover if I want to make a career switch or a job switch, or if there's a way I can reframe my work in my mind to make me feel happier about it. And finally, we're going to examine the day-to-day life. The habits, the start of my morning, the way I get up and live my day, going to work, coming home. Am I happy with the day-to-day activities? Can I find pleasure in the mundane? Am I satisfied with what I have and how I'm living? I'm going to be looking at the day-to-day life and make sure I am happy. And if I'm unhappy, what I'm going to do is look at different ways I can make changes and make myself feel happier in the next year. And finally, what I'll be doing with this happiness information is me and Emily are going to pull out our calendars, have maybe a little date, and we're going to put things on our calendars that are going to make us happy this year. We're going to mark it off so we make sure that we can get things done. We are spontaneous and do happy things all the time, but having things set in stone in the calendar will make sure that we're going to have at least those handful of secure, happy experiences, such as a vacation or road trips or camping or even little dates along the way. So that's the plan, the outline for how I'm going to look back at this year. And now it's time for me to get to reflecting. And I did a quick reflection on my energy levels. How energetic did I feel over 2021? And overall, I felt really good. I actually feel like I wasn't as energetic as perhaps 2020, and maybe that's because I'm a year older. Maybe it's because a little bit of diet restrictions and things like that. So as far as my sleep goes, this year was really great for sleep. I got a purple pillow and an Ooler, which is this machine under the bed that cools my bed, and it made my sleep really, really good. Overall, my sleep quality was great. I do feel a little bit better when I wake up a little bit earlier. So this next year, I'd like to maybe just set out a few more weeks or try to get in a little bit more of a habit of getting up just a little bit earlier. Nothing crazy, but a touch earlier. I also feel a little bit better when I don't snooze my alarm as much, or if I just kind of get right out of bed when I wake up. I've got a habit of just laying around in bed, and so I want to not snooze the alarm as much, not lay in bed quite as much, and I'd like to wake up a little bit earlier. All right, so I can also look back at the different diets that was on, or my diet in general. And so I had 4 main diets that I kind of have been experimenting with. One is fasting, complete fasting that I did earlier this year where I didn't eat anything for 5 days. I did intermittent fasting, so eating from noon until 8 p.m. and not eating or drinking outside of those hours. I did the slow carb diet. And then I'm doing right now a bulking diet. So I had these kind of 4 diets that I had, and I was really, really pleased with my diet this year. I really like intermittent fasting for feeling energetic and just being able to kind of eat whatever I want. But within those windows, it monitors the amount of calories I get. So it's great for staying in kind of a neutral weight. The slow carb diet was a huge winner. And you might have seen that video about the bean diet, where I ate a ton of beans. But that was such a good diet for losing weight and trimming up before the beach trip. So I'm definitely going to be doing that this spring to kind of get back into summer shape. And then I've been really pleased with my bulking diet recently. I put on about 22 pounds in the past 4 or 5 months. And I have bulked up, not gotten fat, but have actually gotten muscular with this bulking diet. So really, really happy with these diet choices over the last year. And I'm just going to do kind of the exact same stuff this next year. Use the mixture of intermittent fasting, the slow carb diet, and a bulking diet to lean up when I want to bulk up when I want to, and then to maintain and feel great when I want to. The next category is exercise. And looking back at 2021, I was also really pleased with my exercise. In 2020, I ran the triathlon, which was the first big long distance event I've ever done, the only race I've ever done, which was great. And I was in great competitive shape. In 2021, I wasn't as intense about my exercise and didn't have a very structured regimen. But I was in the gym pretty much the entire year. And then I was also mixing in with things like runs and a little bit of mountain biking and rollerblading. And so overall, I was really happy with my exercise routines over 2021. But with that being said, I do want to make a little bit of a tweak. I was focused mostly on gym and weight training, and I did get a lot stronger. But I do actually struggle in the gym, and it doesn't seem like my body is really well suited for heavy lifting. Definitely have gotten stronger and made some gains, but in this next year, I want to kind of tap back into my athletic roots and play more sports again. Do things like mountain biking or volleyball or tennis or those team sports that I really love and tend to be really good at. Instead of just spending all of my time in the gym. So slight tweak, but really happy with exercise. Another important category is my habits, both my good and bad habits. So I'll start with the good habits in 2021. A great habit that I've gotten into and kind of built this over 2020 and 2021, but was really just exercise. In 2020, going to the gym and exercising felt like something that I kind of like had to do, and I kind of pushed myself into doing that. But in 2021, this last year, it became exercising, going to the gym became something not that I just knew that I should be doing and kind of had to force myself to do, but became something that I wanted to do. And so if I had a long day and felt tired or stressed or anxious, I now wanted to go to the gym. I wanted to go exercise. And so that was really the biggest great good habit that I have built into my life, and it really clicked into its place over 2021. Another good habit that I finally built was a great habit of flossing my teeth. So I've kind of flossed my teeth on and off throughout the years, but this last year really was the year that flossing became a very habitual thing that I do pretty much every single night. So of course there's other good habits that I engage with, but those are kind of the two big ones that were added in this year. I'll talk about a few of the bad habits that happened over the year, that I had over the year. We've mentioned it in sleep, but sometimes I do have the habit of snoozing my alarm or just laying in bed for too long in the morning. So I'd like to break that habit. It's not horrible, but not what I want. There was also a season in this last year that was particularly stressful. It was about 4 months or so, 3 to 4 months, where I was doing things like vaping more often or drinking more often. Usually I only like to keep drinking on the weekends, so Friday or Saturday nights. But during this particular season, I was doing things like vaping or drinking just more often than I should have. A lot of that was just to manage stress and a little bit of anxiety. But that is definitely a bad habit that I formed. I luckily have already kind of grown out of that habit a bit, but it's something I want to monitor and make sure that I'm not forming that as a bad habit. I'll briefly mention physique. It kind of goes with my exercise, but feeling really good about my physique. I've always had a problem where I've got kind of belly fat and what I call a loaf that I can't really get rid of, or I couldn't have really gotten rid of. Even whenever I did things like run my triathlon, I still had a bit of belly fat there. But this year I've actually learned, and mostly through the slow carb diet and fasting, how to kind of cut some of my belly fat off. And so I've been really happy with my physique this year. I've put on some muscle. I've slimmed up my loaf, and I'm really excited to go into the summer of 2022, this next year, with an improved physique. And also, I'll mention here, this will relate into the happiness category, but my mental health. So I felt really great about my mental health. I'm very lucky in that my mental health has always been something I don't have to focus on as much as other things. I'm very lucky that I'm generally a very happy person, kind of easygoing. I don't get stressed out too easy, so very blessed and fortunate there. But my mental health over the last year has been pretty good, except for maybe a few months where there was a dip, and that's kind of where the drinking and vaping and stuff kind of came in and was a coping mechanism that I used to get through a tougher period of mental health. The next category of my year-end review is my financial well-being. In every single year, what I do is track every dollar I make, every dollar I spend, every investment I make, where everything's going, and I do this on a weekly basis. And so for this financial review, I go through every single month over the last year. I add everything up, I put everything into categories, and I track everything to see where my financial situation is. If you want to see all of the details on how I do this, what I do, why I do this, how it works, check the video up here where I go through everything I did for last year, 2022 into 2021, in full detail. So I'm not going to go deep diving in here, but I'll just let you know a few things that I found out. So just to give you a quick image, this is what it looks like on a monthly basis. For example, this was September of 2022. And every single thing highlighted over here on the left-hand side is the things that I have purchased through the month. And I go through and highlight them and put them into different categories. I also have my different incomes, and I highlight every single source of income that I create, my investments, my categories, the amount of money I saved or lost that month, and then how much income and expenses I've had to that date, which was essentially September. Like I said, there's a full video in the description where I do a deep dive on these sheets, how I do all of my finances and keep track of it across an entire year. But just to let you know for this video that looking back at 2021, I was really happy with my financial well-being. I was able to save a good handful of money. I was able to start another couple businesses in the sense that my TikTok and media started to make some more money. My investments were doing well. So all in all, I was really happy with my financial well-being in 2021 and very fortunate. I'm really not going to make any changes going into 2022, except for maybe make some more room to invest or donate some money. I think I've gotten to the point where I'd like to be able to start giving back and donating to some of the most effective charities, and essentially, earn money to be able to give back. And now for the final category, happiness. Now, this category is much more internal and emotional and kind of non-tangible as the other two categories, but it might be just the most important. And that is looking back at my or your 2021 or your last year and seeing, are you happy? And after reflecting on this for a few days now, I can say that yes, in 2021, I was happy. Now, I wasn't as happy as I've ever been. There was definitely a few parts of the year that were really tough for me, and I wasn't as happy as I could have been. But overall, looking back, I'm really thankful for everything I have and feel really blessed for the year I had in 2021. And overall, I am and was, or I should say, I was and am happy. Now, I can look deeper into the different aspects of life that made me feel happy. And one of the biggest things that I think it's important for myself and then other people to look at is, first of all, their connection to other people. I think this is one of the biggest things that's going to give you a sense of happiness and fulfillment. So I can look at my relationship with my girlfriend. And I feel really, really good about our relationship and that it's secure and strong and happy and we're growing. And not every day is perfect, not every week, not every month is perfect. And there's trials and tribulations. But overall, we are strong and we are happy. And that fills me into a greater feeling of overall happiness. The next thing you can look at is your relationship with your family. And I was very lucky that over the past 2 years, I've grown closer with my family, even though that we have moved further away, and that the relationship I have with all of my parents and grandparents, and then immediate brothers, has all been really strong. And there's definitely room for improvement. You can always make this relationship stronger, and I definitely in this next year have more room to grow in relationship with both my family, but then also Emily and my girlfriend's family as well. The last kind of category of relationships, or I guess there's kind of there's two more categories of relationships. And one of them is friendships. And so how are the relationships with my friends? Now 2021 was a strange year for my friendships. Lots of my friends who lived in the area moved away or have kind of gone on to a further stage in life where most of my friends now have jobs or careers, either girlfriends, wives, husbands, or boyfriends. Some are starting to have children. So, lots of friendships have actually, been a little bit strained. And the personal in-person time where I used to be able to spend time together with my friends hasn't happened as much, but I'm very thankful that our friends have still maintained a good, healthy friendship. And we still talk and have group chats and play video games at night and still on the occasion get together and have fun. So really happy there. The last thing is community. And this is probably where I have the biggest room for improvement. I'm kind of a solo person by nature. I'm okay having my own time and space. So as far as community goes, I haven't spent a lot of time in my community. I know a few of my neighbors, which I'm building slow relationships with, but nothing very strong. But as far as getting involved with my community, I didn't do a whole lot in 2021 and definitely know that that is a big area of improvement for me this coming year. All right, so after that general, just internal look at what makes me happy and how I feel, what I'm gonna do is go through my actual calendar on Google Calendar over 2021, and I'm gonna make a list, or actually two side-by-side lists. And on one side, it's going to be a do more of, where I'm going to write down all the different things that I really enjoyed that were on my calendar that I want to do more of, and then a do less of column. So if I look at my calendar events, what are the things that made me unhappy and I want to do less of? And this way, looking at the calendar, I can kind of get a real audit for what I have done over the last year, what I want to do more of, what I want to do less of. And then with me and Emily coming together, we can put more of those do more things in the calendar, in the book, so we know that we'll have a fun and happy 2022. So I've gone through my Google Calendar and I actually have a lot more things written down than I expected to. I'll start off with the do less of category, which surprisingly, I don't have a ton of things on the do less of, which means that either the things I want to do less of, such as kind of work meetings, are things I can't necessarily do less of, or I didn't end up having a lot on the calendar that I just didn't want to do. But there's a few things overall didn't really like group meetings. I just feel like group meetings in general were never that fun nor productive. So if I can help it, group meetings would be something that I want to do less of. Also, cold calls. And so both of these are related directly to work, but I don't want to do cold calling. Didn't feel like it was effective nor fun for my job. So luckily, outside of work, there wasn't really anything that I had on the calendar that I just don't want to do or do less of. So need to make sure I keep that kind of going in 2022, and I don't accept or go to things or participate in events that I'm actually not enjoying. But in the do more of category, there was plenty of things that, looking back at the calendar, that I want to do more of this coming year. I want to do more podcasts with other people. I want to get other people on my podcast, but I also loved getting to join someone else's podcast. I actually liked team building kind of exercises with my work team. And so going out and doing some sort of team building event was something that I actually enjoyed quite a lot and would like to do more of that. I do, I said do less group meetings. I do really like one-on-one meetings, and getting to talk to a person one-on-one and be kind of real, authentic, transparent is something that I enjoyed and want to do more of. Of course, we could always use more of this, but vacation. Looking back, I loved the vacations I went on and want to make sure I get those going in 2022. I actually really liked working from coffee shops, so I like to work from home, of course, but working from coffee shops actually was something I ended up enjoying a lot and want to do that as well. Mentoring or working with people from my college, something that I don't do very often, but for the few times I did that over 2021, it really resonated with me, so I'd like to do that, get more of that on my calendar. Volunteering is another thing that I didn't do a ton of in 2021, but looking back, the things I did volunteer for made me feel really good, and I felt super helpful, and like I was giving back to the community. Parades, local events. So things that kind of just come and go. A parade, a local event, they're not always fun, but looking back, the ones I went to, I really enjoyed and want to do more of those. And then there's a few sports I want to do. So playing tennis with my dad and then playing golf. The times I had that on my calendar, I look back, I'm like, yeah, I want to do more of those. So this is a really cool and fun practice of just going through last year's calendar, seeing what I did that made me happy, what I did that made me unhappy, trying to plan more of those on my calendar for this year and less of the ones that didn't make me happy. So one of the things we do when reviewing our year, and we're starting to do this now, is putting things on the calendar. So Emily likes her physical calendar. I like the digital calendar, but going through, planning out maybe some date nights, planning out some days we're going to do no phone days. Any birthdays, any travel, and even some things like, buying tickets for a show or going camping. Just making sure that we plan out those and block off some time beforehand so that we know we're going to, throughout the year, have that time available for us. And we don't go through an entire year and look back and we're like, hey, we never actually did anything really cool. So going and getting ahead of that and blocking stuff out beforehand. Trying that out this year and hope it works well. So the calendar and the internal thinking practice kind of help inform my feelings of happiness towards one, my work, and then two, my just day-to-day life and activities. And overall, I feel really happy about both. Now, I'm not someone that lives to work, and necessarily I don't love to work. But I am very lucky that my day job is something that relatively I enjoy. It isn't, I'm not drudging or dragging my feet through the day, and that I have a lot of flexibility and time to pursue other interests. And so overall, I am really happy with my job, and I'm very lucky that I can have a job that both pays well and isn't horrible and has the flexibility that it gives me to enjoy the rest of my life. So I'm very happy with my work. Of course, things could be a little bit better. And, I think ultimately I would love to be completely an entrepreneur who is completely my own boss. But for now, I'm very happy with my work life. And that brings me to my day-to-day life. Also, I am very happy with my day-to-day. The only thing I wish that I had more of was time in a day, because it seems like I have more energy than I have time. And sometimes I'll get up, go throughout my day, and all of a sudden it is 9 p.m. and I know I need to be going to bed, but I want to do so much more fun stuff. But with that said, I'm very happy with my day-to-day life. I feel like the amount I'm able to sleep and when I get up is great. Being able to work and do things that I relatively enjoy at work is great. Being able to have a break, spend some time with my dogs, be able to work out, to cook, to spend a little bit of time with Emily and to play video games and do things like recording YouTube videos in my free time is all things that make me really happy. And I don't enjoy just the big moments of fun that come here and there. But in the life that I'm living currently, I really do enjoy most of the day-to-day things that are happening, even work to an extent. So overall, I'm feeling very blessed and very happy about the year I had in 2021. Now, with all that being said, it takes me to today and what I'm going to be doing in 2022. And so from the widest lens, 2021 last year was an amazing year. My health, my financial well-being, and my happiness all were in really great balance. They all improved, or I felt really great, really happy about all of those categories. Now, within health, within financial well-being, and within happiness, there's a few things that I can definitely tweak to make 2022 even better. This is the point where if I wanted to set goals, it might be worth me setting some goals. So, with that sleep and my health and well-being category, I might say, hey, my goal is for 60 days in a row to wake up without snoozing my alarm once. And I can definitely set that as a goal and set out to do that. Or across my other categories, I can set specific goals. But I feel really good about having reflected on my last year, bringing to the surface some of the things that I might want to make small tweaks to, and kind of carrying those tweaks into 2022 with some intention. I don't think I'm going to set any goals, but I'm just going to take those tweaks, move forward, and carry on the progress of living a happy and healthy life. With that all being said, thank you so much for watching this video. I know it's not the most entertaining video, and I know it's a little bit after the new year, but I wanted to just make a quick video and show you how you can break down your life into a few different key categories, and maybe use all the categories and all the check boxes that I used, or maybe you go and make your own categories based off of what's really important for you. So you might have a full category that says health, financial well-being, happiness, and then mental health. Or you might do, physique, if that's something really important to you, health, mental health. So you can go through, pick and choose, figure out which categories of your life are the most important, reflect on your last year, and try to make some tweaks or plans or changes, adjustments to how you can live your life in the next year. All of this can be done without necessarily setting New Year's resolutions or New Year's goals, but it does require you to reflect, to look back at how you have been living and decide how you want to make a change and live a little bit better. So I hope this video is helpful for you. It definitely, at the very least, has been helpful for me because it's forced my hand into doing some serious reflection, planning, and adjusting for things that I want to change to make my life better. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you like this one, have any other video ideas, give me a like and leave a comment down below for some suggestions. I'll definitely get back to you and take those into account. You can also follow me this year on any of my social medias. I'm active on TikTok, Instagram, you name it. I have my website, realwithryan.com. But thank you so much for taking the time to tune in. I hope you had a great 2021, and here is to an amazing 2022 or next year. And as always, thank you for keeping it real with Ryan.